Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Into the Massiverse. This is episode 8, where we are going to be discussing the final book in the Throne of Glass series, Kingdom of Ash. Now, before we get started, let's address the elephant in the room. It is, right now, minus 5 degrees Celsius. It is below freezing. I don't know if you can see on the recording, but there's actually water vapor coming out of my mouth. It's that cold. So I have upgraded from the last episode, and I'm currently wearing 2 pairs of gloves, my earmuffs, my big puffy jacket, a new scarf I got for Christmas, and I have a heating pad on, like under my coat, one that you literally plug in. I bought it for cramps, but at the minute it's what's stopping me from being, below freezing cold. The last episode I was like, it's 5 or it's like 4 or 5 degrees, it's really cold, and now I'm like, it's below freezing. So excuse the fit, and just a heads up, the rest of the episodes in this series are gonna have to be filmed in another location where there is heating. So enjoy the shelves while we've got them one last time. I'll try and take the books somewhere else and still set it up so it's giving SJM vibes, but as an FYI, this will be the last recording session out here because my hands are freezing, even with 2 pairs of gloves on. Bearing that in mind, let's jump in and discuss Kingdom of Ash, the 8th book in the Throne of Glass series, and a very, very big book that is just full of trauma after trauma after trauma and then happy ending. So it's gonna be rough, but we'll get through it together. So let's start discussing what happens in Kingdom of Ash as we delve even further into the Massiverse and finish Throne of Glass. Now, when I say that Kingdom of Ash is a big, chunky book, it's got over 120 chapters. So we're going to talk through this book section by section, chapter by chapter, because this is one of those books where I actually don't want to miss chunks out. As we've done these recaps, there have been things that I've avoided saying because they don't really move the plot along, and they just make me very sad to talk about. A perfect example of this are the 2 different visits to Sam's grave. It's too early on in the video to cry. But yes, we're going to do everything, even the bad bits today. So let's get started. The book begins with a chapter that's just called The Prince, and it's like a page long, and it just lets us know that my man Rowan, it's been a long time since the last book, and he is just hell-bent on finding Aelin. Sole focus, finding Aelin. And I'm going to say it now, that's as it should be. He is her husband, and her soulmate, and the love of her life. I want someone to be that one-track minded about saving me if I've ever been kidnapped and am being tortured. So, good on Rowan. We then cut to a chapter called The Princess, where it's really not fun. I don't think I can talk about it in a great deal without crying. So Aelin is basically being kept inside the iron coffin box she was taken away in at the end of Empire of Storms, with this horrible iron mask thing on her face because Maeve is trying to subdue her power, and she is being repeatedly tortured. And not only is it physical, but Maeve is leading into like actual mental torture as well, and showing Aelin all of these dream sequences with her mum and her dad, and oh yeah, it's really, really, really bad. And she has been whipped so many times and then healed so many times that there's no longer any scars on her, which is a big deal because even from book 1, those scars have been a part of who Aelin is. It's part of her story. She's even talked about the importance of these scars to her. They show her where she's been and who she's become, and so they're all gone. Oh my god, stop right now. So things are really not going great. we have it stressed upon us the importance of Rowan getting to Aelin ASAP. And this is where part one of the book begins. Those two little chapters, they happen at the beginning. But then we actually start the book, as it were, which is called Armies and Allies. We find out at this point that Lysandra has been pretending to be Aelin for the past 2 months. So Aelin has been disappeared and tortured for 2 months. And the squad that were heading up to Terracin, so Aedion and Lysandra, they're there. Adrian gets reunited with the Bane, who are sort of his specialist, super cool army. And they set themselves up in a place called the Plain of Thalaris, which is like the Bane's home camp. They're on home turf right now. Now, Adrian is still not talking to Lysandra, unless they're in public, because she's obviously pretending to be Aelin. But he's feeling majorly betrayed by the fact that Lysandra was in on this plan with Aelin, and that Aelin is now somewhere he cannot help her. So Adrian is, I know everyone says like, oh, he is really childish, but I'd be fuming. Like, I get Adrian being mean to Lysandra because he feels like he's been robbed of the chance to A, just be involved, but B, also help Aelin, who he loves. They are family. And I'm sorry, but if like one of my sisters came up with this cockamamie scheme to let themselves be kidnapped and just let us all carry on living, I wouldn't be cool with that either. Okay, I'd be throwing hands. So Adrian's actually a better man than I am. Now 6 Valg appear through the mountain pass, and the Bane manage to kill 5 of them, and they keep the 6th to interrogate. The group reach Olsbrook Castle, which is where we're reunited with Evangeline. That's where she has been sent to be safe. And Fleetfoot! My baby Fleetfoot's back! She's alive! There is a god! And at this point, Adrian receives a letter from one of his commanders, Killian, that Marath's troops have made landfall in a place called Eldris, and they have sacked that city. So the bad guys, they've made it up north. Meanwhile, group rescue Aelin. They are near Dorinel, so they've almost made it all the way back to where the actual Fae are. And Rowan is torturing one of Maeve's commanders that they found, because homeboy's gone feral, as he should do. And let's just say the group, they are flagging a bit. Like, they are struggling. It's been 2 months. They don't have much to show for it. Everyone hates Lorcan. They're not having a great time. And my man Rowan, he's reaching the end of his tether. To compound how unpleasant this is, we then get a chapter that's focused on what's happening to Aelin. And we find out that they are like repeatedly chaining her to this big stone altar. And Maeve is forcing Fenris to watch Aelin be tortured, staying in his wolf form. Because if you remember, Fenris was getting all chummy with Aelin's core and all that group, and Maeve is pissed about that. So she's punishing Fenris by making him watch Aelin get hurt. And the two of them have created this little language where, oh my God, don't cry. Do not cry. Stop. Right now. Where a certain amount of blinks means certain things because they can't talk to each other. And all of Aelin's food and drink, it's being laced with these plants that will subdue her magic, because Maeve wants her not able to set fire to anything. And it turns out Maeve's goal in torturing Aelin the way she is to try and convince her to swear the blood oath to Maeve. Because if she does that, then she can't ever hurt Maeve, and she's got to do whatever Maeve says. We just hate Maeve. Evil Valg queen. Now we know she's a Valg queen. Chapter 4 has a very different energy because we change locations and we are following Manon, the 13, and Dorian, my faves. They are hunting for the Croken Witches. And if you remember, Manon is a very famous Croken Witch killer. So Homegirl and her squad are actually very good at finding Croken Witches, but this time they're not finding them to like pick them off one by one and kill them. They're trying to find them to befriend them and get them involved in a war. Now, Dorian's mission is that he's planning to find a 3rd weird key and then sacrifice himself to create the lock that will send Erwin and all the Valg back to where they came from. So Homeboy is kind of on a suicide mission. Ooh, sorry, I just got so emotional about my man Dorian potentially offering himself as a sacrificial lamb that I kicked the camera. So this is the new angle. Hope you like it. Now, in order to figure out what's going on, Dorian uses weird marks to summon the ghost of Gavin, who we've heard a lot about, but we've not seen a great deal of. And Gavin doesn't want to reveal the location of the third weird key to Dorian because once the story is over, once Lena's stake has been rectified, she's just going to cease existing. Like, she doesn't get to be with them in heaven, and Gavin would rather his wife remain a ghost. So I get where Gavin's coming from, but not cool, dude. Not cool at all. He finally admits to Dorian, because Dorian's making a very good case, that the final key is now in Morath. So we've just escaped Morath back in Empire of Storms. The 13 flew away, and we all thought, yeah, we're never going to see that nasty place again. But it turns out Dorian's got to go back to try and get this third key. Now, Gavin says to Dorian, oh, looks like you've got my sword. What's basically happened is Aelin has given Dorian Damaris the sword all the way back from book 1, because Aelin has Goldrin, this really cool neat sword now. So Dorian now has super duper Excalibur kind of sword. And Gavin says, hey, that sword's mine. If you keep it on you, it'll let you know like the right thing to do. It'll help you get to Morath. It'll help you find the weird key. And Dorian's like, sound. BT dubs Gavin, are you human? And Gavin refuses to answer. Interesting. Meanwhile, Dorian and the team, they seem to be receiving conflicting information. One commander they kidnap tells them that Maeve has taken Aelin into Doranel, and a second tells them that they've headed over to a place called Acadia. So they're just going round and round in circles, and Dorian, he's feeling rough. And he has a dream that I'm not going to cry about, where he sees Aelin pregnant and their children. We don't know if it's like future children, but yeah, he sees his family. And seeing that, Rowan becomes convinced that not only is he about to save Aelin's life, he's not going to let her sacrifice herself to become that lock. That they deserve to have a future together. She deserves to be a mum. They deserve to have a family. She deserves to have a life. Now an even bigger pivot than we've had in the chapter before going over to the witches. Hale is still on a ship because it's taken that long to come back from the southern continent. So he's en route to Erelea on a ship with my bays, Sartak and Nesrin, who go out on their rooks and they fly ahead and they kind of scout the coast of Erelea as they approach, and they can see all of these cities being burnt by Erwin's baddies. We also find out, and you're going to be gagged if you've not read the books before and this is your first time, by this point, as they are arriving at Erelea, war is a-coming. My girl Irene is pregnant. Kale Westfall gonna be a daddy. What? Now, if you've forgotten, their life force is connected now, and Irene's magic, that affects how much Kale can walk and stuff. So I'm just putting it out there that now, if Kale is fighting in battle and he dies, not only will that kill Irene, it will also kill their baby. It's like equally great news and equally awful news. Because we've got our first Throne of Glass baby, and we love that for them. But also, what the hell? What a bad time to get pregnant, guys. That's just irresponsible. This is what happens in a world without birth control. Just saying. And in order to help me de-stress from this revelation, we cut back to the witches, my bays. And Manon is attacked by a big-ass white bear. And everyone is like, oh my god, Manon. The bear shapeshifts, and it is the Stygian spider. We find out that the Stygian spider Manon nicked all that silk from is the same Stygian spider that made the trade with Falcon and took 20 years of his life. Mind blown. Wasn't joking when I said there are no coincidences here. And it turns out that when she took those 20 years from Falcon, she also gained his ability to shapeshift. Which, mind blown. But also, Dorian sees this, and we've realized that, yes, he can wield ice and do a load of other cool stuff. But that Dorian's magic itself is incredibly rare, and it's raw magic. It can literally become anything. It can be used for anything. And this is really cool because Rowan has obviously been training Dorian back in Empire of Storms how to wield his magic in combat, which is great, super duper useful. But my man Dorian, lest we forget, is a thoughtful king, okay? Even from book one, he was incredibly bookish and nerdy and just super duper duper intelligent and bright. So Homeboy sees the Stygian spider shapeshifting and it's like, well, if my magic can be anything, if it can do anything, if it's just pure raw potential and magic, maybe I can do that. Shape-shifting Dorian. You bet your bottom dollar that's what we're getting. So with that note, we find out the Stygian spider claims that she can help them find the Croaken witches. So we're kind of getting the spider that Manon very much attacked and betrayed in books previous, kind of offering to help the team out. Ooh la la. Oh, we're then at chapter 8, and this one's really, really rough because we're back with Aelin being tortured. And Aelin realizes that she is being kept in Doranel. So, team hunting down Aelin, kind of on the right track with getting closer to Doranel, because that's where Aelin definitely is. Now, Maeve is being evil as per, and she gets out Mab's crown. If you remember, there were, in fact, actual Fae queens who Maeve pretended to be the sister of. So Maeve pulls out Mab's crown. Maeve puts the crown on her and makes her kneel to her on a load of broken glass. So, not really a slay. Someone I haven't mentioned up until now, and I'm going to mention, and then we're going to get over in this chapter, is Connell, Fenris's twin brother, right? Really, Fenris is bloodsworn to Maeve because Connell, his twin, is in love with Maeve. So Fenris never really liked Maeve. He just joined in because his brother's his homie. But Connell is like obsessed with Maeve. Now, both Fenris and his twin brother can turn into wolves. But where Fenris turns into a white wolf, Connell turns into a black wolf. So when Maeve walks into the room and she's got a black wolf with her, it's like, ooh, Fenris's dark twins in with Maeve. Maeve reveals that she knows Lysandra's pretending to be Aelin over in Terrasen, and she is not a fan. You know, it's not like Aelin duped her or anything, but she's like, God damn you, Galathinius. Rawr. I thought everything would crumble if I took you away. And Connell turns into his like Fae form so that he can talk to Fenris, and she tells him he's a disgrace. Like, he's really, really, really horrible to Fenris because Fenris has become friends with Team Aelin. And then this is so awful because Connell is bloodsworn to Maeve. Anything she tells him to do, he's got to do. Same situation with Fenris. And so Maeve orders Connell to kill himself. In order